his master's in animal science at Iowa State University. He was a member of the livestock judging team at both Butler and Texas Tech and served as the assistant livestock judging coach while working on his master's at Iowa State. Currently, he is a PhD candidate at the University of Missouri with an anticipated graduation of December of this year. While at Mizzou, his research has focused on developmental programming, specifically the impacts of late gestational nutrient restrictions on prenatal and postnatal offspring nutrient utilization in beef cattle. Colby, we welcome you back to the ring as you get underway to judge the goat show for us today. A big shout out and thank you to our FFA Market Goat sponsors. Centura FFA alumni, Went Show Goats, Alicia Went, Farmers Cooperative, Hampton FFA, Burwell FFA, and the Nebraska FFA alumni and supporters. All right, we are underway with the Market Goat Show now. This is lightweight class 1. These goats weigh from 49 to 63 and a half pounds. As we continue on the sheep side with lightweight class number 3, weighing from 132 to 138. After this class selection, we'll bring back our purple 1s and 2s for the selection of your division, reserve, and grand. We're just checking to make sure you guys can hear me on both sides of the arena. And I'm getting thumbs up, so thank you.
Shot more attractive and right in terms of how his loin ties into his hip. Probably just a stouter and more attractive hind leg than the goat we have in second. I think from a muscularity standpoint, both have plenty of muscle now. They read with some future in terms of just their muscle texture and their lateness and maturity. I probably give that one the advantage in terms of just a bigger loin tying more seamlessly into his hip than the one we have in second. Still, I think the pair's really, really close. Paint Weather's got just a tick more hair on him. I think when you grab this Weather in second, that's a tight shorn one, but that one's really, really thin-skinned, super hard, and just aggressive in terms of his touch, and still no slouch from the side. Probably a shot better in terms of his flank than that one. Maybe not quite as neat in his chest, though, so definitely some trade-offs in a really good pair. Pair of goats that come out in third and fourth, they're really productive, just wide, stout, structured, big skeleton goats that handle with a lot of mass and product. Probably give the handling quality advantage to the one in third. That's why I gave him the nod. Maybe the Weather in fourth just gets a little bit rounder in terms of his shoulder and hip shape. Like I said, you got to appreciate the product in that guy. Switch gears a little bit for the one we're going to have round out the top five. That's a kind of later maturing goat that's probably got his best days ahead of him, because I think he still reads really, really green in terms of his muscle pattern, but probably comparatively, I still don't know if he'll ever be quite opened up enough compared to those four ahead of him. A nice goat to round out the top five. A good set here in the first class. Put your hands together, please.
And congratulations on the sheep side of the ring. Your division winner will come out of class number 1. Exhibited by Jordan Musso from the Wilbur-Claytonia FFA. And your reserve comes out of class number 2 in the lightweights, Kyle Riak from the Wisner-Pilger FFA. They will be competing in the Supreme Final Drive taking place this afternoon at 3:30. In the ring now will be middleweight Sheep that weigh from 139 to 141. Now over on the goat side, your results of lightweight class number 1. Blue ribbon winners include Anselmo Gilman from the Waverly FFA, Colby Hartman from Adams Central FFA, Maya Matalka from Central FFA, Carter Wander from Syracuse Dunbar Avoca FFA. Purple ribbon winners, Haley Finn from the Twin River FFA, Nolan Hasenkamp from the West Point FFA, and Elena Fangmeyer from the Thayer Central FFA. Second purple goes out to Ashley Zaney of the Norfolk FFA, and first purple out of lightweight class number 1, exhibited by Adeline Crockett from the Bruning Davenport FFA. The lightweight market goats that you are seeing in the ring, this is class number 2. These goats will weigh from 65 to 69 pounds.
Well, I apologize. I've got the goats flipped my direction and not the crowd's direction. So we'll get that fixed the next time we rack them up so that you guys can get a better view here. Just as I talk through them, we sure took it up probably 2 or 3 notches just in terms of quality and depth in this class. I think with that, there's a pair of goats that are very, very muscular that go ahead and sort themselves to the top. Probably the absolute heaviest muscled one is the goat in second, but there's no doubt they're way beyond what is adequate. And so I think you can really get to evaluate the build on these things and probably start to break them down a little bit. I think just as in the pair is the goat that we used to win the neatest and just longest about his neck. No, I think he could be just a shot trimmer and cooler there. But I think his skeleton still is so much more comfortable than the goat that we have in second. When we set that one into motion, just how he wants to send his neck out of the top side of his shoulder is much better. I think that one ties just longer and more correct in terms of his hip. I still think that's an adequately featured goat that's good in terms of his joint work. I like probably just the extra length of body that he measures with compared to the goat in second. Like I said, no doubt this one grabs big and bold and really, really wide in terms of his shape up high. I still don't know if he's perfectly just square and just awesome in terms of the edges of his loin. No doubt, though, that's a big-ended one. Probably just we set that one into motion. Showman has a pretty hard time getting that one to just hold his neck up high because there is just some discomfort in terms of that one's skeleton. Maybe a little bit the same story as he goes away. A nice pair, though, really, really nice pair there for lightweights. A goat here in third that I think you just study as an individual or you run into that first class, a really, really competitive individual in his own right. Built really, really good in terms of his skeleton, his body shape, and just how he progresses is really good. Unfortunately, we've got a few ahead of him that are probably just a shot more ready in terms of their bloom, and because of that, more just massive in terms of their muscle texture, but a good one there for third. The solid red goat here, the Showman does a really, really nice job getting the most out of this one. I think, a big outline goat that's got some future. He's still green in terms of his condition and can show much later into the year, but he's still ready today. Probably as we get comparative, I don't know if that one's as good in terms of his rack shape right out of the backside of his shoulder. Maybe coils up in his loin and sucks up in his flank as we set him into motion. Nice paint goat here to round out the top 5. I think one that's got some product. Probably as we study him comparatively, he's not just as bold out of the backside of his shoulder. Maybe his fill just accentuates that and wanting to close back up to his pin set. But I think a correct goat from the side. So nice one here for the top 5 in Class 2. Put your hands together, please.
Entering the ring now on the sheep side is your middleweight Class 2, weighing from 142 to 145. And on the goat side, this is class number 3. This is your final lightweight class, where after this class will make the selection of your division winner. And these goats weigh from 70 to 75.5 pounds. Your results of middleweight Class 1 for the sheep. Red ribbon winners: Alex Meyer from the Elm Creek FFA, Emma Steinkruger from the Minden FFA, Caitlin Kirchhoff from EMF FFA. Blue ribbon winners are Emma Heller from the Wisner-Pilger FFA, Claire Ramey from the Stewart FFA, and Addie Donaldson from Boone Central FFA. Purple ribbon winners include Kaylee Gock from the Loop City FFA. Second purple to Ashley Robinson of the Wallace FFA, and congratulations, first purple out of middleweight Class 1 is Keegan Kirschner from the Sutherland FFA. Now over to the goat side, lightweight class 2 results. Blue ribbon winners are Peyton Hartman from the Adams Central FFA, Cash Davis from Hyannis FFA, Macklin Samuel Gilman from the Waverly FFA, and Jacoby Hartman from the Adams Central FFA. Purple ribbon winners are Mia Carey from the West Holt FFA, Colt Laker from the Deschler FFA, Burke Settles from Central FFA. Second purple is Tatea Hamilton from the Nebraska Ag Academy. And first purple, congratulations on a lightweight class 2, William Seth from Bishop Newman FFA.
Real nice class here. I think with that, just kind of a totals goat that goes ahead and rises to the top of this class here in this red hawked weather. Pretty easily, you just study them in terms of genuine width and bold body and true muscle shape from the front of their skeleton all the way to the rear. That's the goat that quite easily has the advantage. I still think you get off of him. Is he just perfectly cool and exotic in his look? No, but that one's really, really correct and proportional, and so I think a nice place to start. Probably when we're just trying to follow that one, and another goat that I think probably the hardest to pick a hole in is the one we have in second. I wish this guy would probably just drive a shot better for the young man, because I think if you study that one in terms of just his width and the width of his skeleton, I think that one's really, really appropriate. Probably a little bit disappointing when you put your hands on him just in terms of muscle shape. I think the muscle spreads there, though, and so we went ahead and gave that one the nod for second. Bigger outline, later maturing, kind of cool looking one here that comes in third. Really good and thin in terms of his skin and hard in terms of his touch. He's just still too raw today there in his forearm and heart. Doesn't feed just quite enough product there to work up with the top two in this class. A pair of goats that are on a little bit of different side of the spectrum from the one we have in third are the ones in fourth and fifth. The one in fourth, kind of like the goat in second, definitely not doing the young lady any favors just in terms of wanting to show himself off. I think that's a goat probably that's got some products, got some stoutness of feature and width to his skeleton. Probably a shot short in terms of his body, maybe just a little bit plainer in either end of his skeleton. There's a bigger outline goat that we round out the class with in fifth. I think just from a correctness and balance standpoint from the side, that one's pretty nice. You get more in the three-quarter view, probably just never going to be bold enough in terms of his forerib, maybe a little bit flatter and longer there in the plane of his stifle. A nice set of goats there to represent this class. Let's put your hands together for all these exhibitors, please.
Well, our first lightweight steer class here kind of falls together, in my opinion. This is the most muscular and widest steer that's going to start off the class. I like his chest width, his rib shape, his pin width. He's just a stout, moderate, thick-made little calf there. You know, again, is he the soundest structured one we'll see all day? No, but he is acceptable enough for the amount of shape and muscle he has. And I'd probably think he's even maybe a little more comfortable in a spot or two than the one in second. So he's going to win the class. Good job to you. This gray steer has parts that I like a lot better. I actually like his head and his neck. I like his foot size, and I like the softness to his joints, okay? To me, he kind of gets weird. He ducks his hind leg. He shallows up in his flank. And then when I get in front of him, he's a little too closed up in his chest and in his forerib. But I think there's good parts there. This is another thick-made steer coming next. It's a big old top and a big old hip in him. I appreciate that. This steer labors a little too much. He's just too short striding. He's just a little too coarse and plain up through his front end to work up any higher, but a muscular, thick, stout calf. This is the pretty steer of the bunch. He's sharp-fronted, he's angular, and he is feminine, almost up about his head. Okay, but I think he almost needs to be more masculine and stouter in his jaw, his crest, everything, just to look like he's got some stoutness. I'd like to see him more muscular all the way through too. Okay, but a good looking.
Here's your results. Your lightweight market class 3 is there in the selection for your division champion. Blue ribbon winners goes to Ashley Robinson from Wallace FFA. Kelsey Luby from the Seward FFA. Addison Howarder from the Cozad FFA. Cash Parrish from the Heartland FFA. And Caitlin Rizak from the Central FFA. Purple ribbon winners include Arabelle Rolfschmeyer from the Shelton FFA. Ashley Saney from the Norfolk FFA. and Matea Roberts from the Maywood FFA. Second purple was exhibited by Ethan Hagenkamp from the Arlington FFA, and first purple, Logan Bierman from the Wisner Pilger FFA. Entering the ring on the sheep side will be middleweight class number 3. They will weigh from 146 to 150.
Well, a really, really nice first division here where we got out 6 goats out here that I think really represent a lot of quality and goats that are good now and will be good for quite a while still if they get the chance to show longer. You know, that first class, we run that pair back out here. I think goats that probably once we start getting comparative against these heavier weight ones, a lot of future in them, but probably just not quite ready to go against these heavier lightweights today. We talked about a pretty special pair of them that came out of the middle class. Went ahead and ran that second in, so obviously I think pretty highly of that pair as we walked them there. Talked about just out there and pretty extra in terms of their muscle, and then just maybe sorted some different things in build. We have the third class winner. I think a goat that ran away with that class probably pretty handily. I think we bring him back out here and put 2 really competitive goats on either side of him there. Maybe not just his feature and maybe just the crispness and the squareness of his shape when we start getting him compared to some other really high quality goats. With that being said, I really like those 2 out of the middle class. We're going to keep those together for the lightweight division. Let's give them a hand.
Your Division 1 for the Market Goats. Out of the lightweight class, congratulations to Seth Williams from the Bishop Neumann FFA. And reserve goes to Taya Hamilton from the Nebraska Ag Academy. Again, just like with the sheep, goats, the final drive will take place at 3:30 this afternoon in the beef show ring. Entering the ring now is our middleweight class number 1. These goats will weigh from 76 up to 80 pounds. And when you see exhibitor 1311, a big happy birthday goes out to Cash Parrish. Great way to spend your birthday in the show ring here at the Nebraska State Fair. Happy birthday, Cash. Your results of middleweight class number 2. On the sheep side, red ribbon winners are Sam Setchen from the Hershey FFA, Seth Wirt from the Central City FFA, Alexander Client from the Wilcox-Hildreth FFA. Will be your first purple going to Brock Markson of the Clarkson FFA. Other ribbon winners include for red ribbon, Gavin Root from the Central City FFA. Blue ribbon winner includes Dylan Russman from the Pender FFA, Jalen Clement from the Central FFA, and Brock Schwartzendruber from the Shickley FFA. Purple ribbon winners, Mallory Tuma from the Loop City FFA, Kyle Riak from the Wisner Pilger FFA. Second purple goes to Paige Stetchen from the Thayer Central FFA, and again, congratulations, first purple out of middleweight class 2, exhibited by Brock Markson of the Clarkson FFA.
Well, a really good class here to start out the middleweights. I think with that being said, this white-headed goat we have that's going to go ahead and lead off. I think a youthful one who's athletic in his look, really fresh in his appearance. I think one that's really, really impressive in just how that one's assembled in terms of his skeleton and his balance. That one's bones and just where his top line sets in terms of handle, I think is really, really genuine. Not just the bloomiest and just maybe most massive in terms of his shape, but like I said, where that one feeds out of the backside of his shoulder, where the edges of his loins sit in him, I think are really, really good. That's a really nice one to go ahead and start. I think a goat in second that has some pieces that are really, really neat. That one, when he wants to cooperate, I think is a pretty up and out one in terms of his front end. I think he handles really big in terms of his rack. He's thin-hided and good touch in there. He probably doesn't just transition with the same kind of mass into his loin. Maybe a goat that's a little bit longer in terms of just the muscle and how it ties into his leg. So it doesn't have quite as much just flair and squareness to his hip as the goat that wins. Maybe a little bit awkward in his underlying balance as well. An interesting goat here in third also. I think the top side of that guy's skeleton, just in terms of feeding a really square, consistent shape from front to rear is good. That one's got an incredible just side-shaped turn to his rear, to his hip and quarter for a goat. I think you study that one through the lower third of his body, and it just doesn't quite match as genuine as the top side. That's a frailer featured goat who wants to come in his knee, a little bit just waistier probably in his lower body and narrower as he leaves you. Goat here, a bigger outlined one that I think's built right in terms of just how he transitions from his forerib back into his flank. Probably when we get over top of him, maybe just still a little bit peaked there in terms of his rack shape. A big outline goat that's stout in his feature and really cool in his look. Three-quarter view, he's just not broad enough from side to side. But a nice one here to round out the top five in a good class. Would you please give these exhibitors a round of applause?
All right, time to catch you up on some results. Congratulations. Representing the middleweight class in this afternoon's final drive will be Hayden Schroeder from the Wisner-Pilger FFA. And your reserve for the division is Keegan Kirshner from the Sutherland FFA. Entering the ring now is our first class of heavyweight sheep. They weigh from 151 to 156. On the goat side in the ring now will be your middleweight class 2, weighing from 81 to 85 and a half pounds. Your results of middleweight class 1 on the goats. Blue ribbon winners include Mesa Jones from the Ansley FFA, Aaliyah Negley from the Gothenburg FFA, and Cash Parrish, the birthday boy, from the Heartland FFA. Purple ribbon winners include Barons Baylor from the Wilbur-Kytonia FFA, Jace Allen from the Scotts Bluff FFA, and Claire Gangwish from the Kearney FFA. Second purple also goes to Claire Gangwish from the Kearney FFA, and first purple is to Burke Settles from the Central FFA.
Well, our lightweight division is coming to an end here, and we've had some nice calves go through. It was a heated competition with steers that lots of different shapes and kinds. And you know, ultimately, as we set the day and start going through it, you know, I want steers is a term we don't use a lot, but I want them athletic and I want them shapely, and you know, I still want them to balance and you know, and move good. But I like to come around here and look at these things from this vantage point. I think they need to have some broadness to their chest. They don't need to be big shouldered, but they need to be opened up, and they need to be bold in their rib and muscular and shapely. And I think there's a calf here that probably just excels the rest in regards to skeletal width, topside shape, and expression. Still does it in a very nice balanced package. The calf that's going to win this division is Class 2 here. Put your hands together for that young lady. You know, for reserve here, again, just talked about this gray steer. He's just a good old solid calf. You know, for some people, he's not going to be show steer enough, but long-sided, gets out and travels well, has an adequate amount of muscle. You know, I think though it gets a little closer because this steer down here is sure good and has a lot of rib and body and width to him. I'm going to use this little chubbier, wider one here to be reserve champion. Congratulations.
Results of your lightweight division championship drive here in our Market Steer Show at the Nebraska State Fair. Congratulations to our champion coming out of lightweight class 2, awarded to Anna Karnop of the West Point FFA chapter. Your reserve champion coming out of class 1 lightweights, Stapleton FFA chapter member Kelsey Amos. Again, congratulations to our winners here in our lightweight division championship drive. Up next will be our first class of middleweight steers, class 1 middleweights, up into the Nebraska Farm Bureau show arena next. Reminder that all of our division champions will have the opportunity to win a champion trailer and a giveaway there
I think a nice pair of weathers to go ahead and sort to the top end of this class, and then we got 3 market does there behind them. Quite a bit of contrast between the two that we have to win. I think the goat we go ahead and settle on probably cooperates quite a bit better for the young lady, and that sure doesn't help. I think where that one's advantage is, though, is you study him in terms of just body shape and just pull and pry to his center cavity. That allows him to facilitate quite a bit just more mass and spread up high. That's probably one of the better loin goats that we've handled today. I think one that's maybe not just perfectly long and awesome in terms of his hip construction, but one that definitely has just more mass and width from stifle to stifle compared to the goat in second. I still think, we could probably nitpick him in terms of how he handles his skeleton, but gives you a proportional look. Big outline goat that's really neat in his front 1/3, and lean and fresh in terms of his skin and his handle. He's given the young lady a pretty good fit today, which sure doesn't just help how he kind of settles himself in and puts himself together. I don't know if that one's any improvement in terms of his hip and hind leg. The 3/4 view, it's pretty easily the advantage that goes to the class winner. That's where I kept my decision in first and second. I think a really, really nice market doe that we have coming here in third. That one handles big in terms of her spread up high. That's because she's really, really round and bold in terms of her body, a big-ended kind of goat. Maybe just in terms of the shape of her neck and just the lower body, just a bit more cover in terms of how she looks and balances. I think you just want to sort them from outside and, a breeding piece. I know we're in the market show. Really like just the basic build and the fundamentals of the goat that we have in fourth. That one's feature really matches. It's just build and balance up high. We get our hands on that one, and in a market class, unfortunately, just not enough stuff there to grab. And then the kind of spot top doe that we have in fifth, maybe somewhere in between the 2 does that we have ahead of her. Probably just a more aggressive handling than the one in fourth, but a shot better looking than the one in third. I don't know if she does either of those areas quite as good as those 2 ahead of her, though. Went ahead and left a nice one in fifth. Good class here. Put your hands together for these middleweight exhibitors.
On the goat side of the ring, we are looking right now at middleweight class number 3. They are weighing from 86 up to 93 pounds. Set to enter the ring on the sheep side will be heavyweight class number 2, weighing from 157 to 161. Your results first on the goat side from middleweight class number 2. Blue ribbon winners will include Abby Negley from the Gothenburg FFA, Jesse Johnson from the Bloomfield FFA, Caitlin Rizak from the Central FFA, Leighton Dillon from the Central City FFA, and Aiden Schindler from the Harlington Newcastle FFA. Purple ribbon winners include Ethan Heinkamp from the Arlington FFA, Hadley Picorni from the Wheeler Central FFA, and Leighton Dillon from the Central City FFA. Second purple exhibited by Cammie Held of the Lee FFA, and first purple, congratulations, out of middleweight class number 2 is Taya Hamilton from the Nebraska Ag Academy. Now to the sheep side in heavyweight class 1. Red ribbon winners include Lindley Schwarzenduber from the Shickley FFA, Jake Hofschneider from the Centennial FFA, Cameron Wood from the Bishop Newman FFA, and Mia French from the Wayne FFA. Blue ribbon winners, Sydney Skolsky from the Burwell FFA, Emma Steinkruger from the Minden FFA, Lindley Schwarzenduber from the Shickley FFA, Haley Dowding from the Palmyra FFA, Paige Williams from the Meade FFA, and Brent Colton from, we do not have his FFA chapter listed, our apologies. Purple ribbon winners will include Mahan Jones from the Nebraska Ag Academy. I was just told that Colton is from the Pender FFA. Second purple goes to Clara Ramy from the Stewart FFA. And congratulations out of heavyweight class 1, Allison Vavracek from the Schuyler Central FFA.
His problems are that he's a little more mature about his head and his crest, and then his hip and his hind leg there. He's a little short rumped and he's a little straight in his hock, and he doesn't give you the warm and fuzzies when he's in motion, but when he's standing there, he looks like a thick, powerful market steer that needs to win this class. Just improve him structurally. Now, this calf, I initially, I like his balance, and I like parts of his structure better than the one ahead of him. He has got more slope to his knee. He's got more length to his rump. He's got a little nicer set to his hind leg. He's a deep old-bodied calf with a neat look. He's got big parts. He just doesn't put them all together. Set him in motion. To me, he gets a little too peaked right in here behind his shoulder. He's a little narrower in his loin. He closes up when he goes away from me, and I just like to see him all blend together better. He's kind of a long neck, a big belly, and a cool hind leg, but everything just doesn't quite piece together right. Need more muscle, more topside shape in that calf, and then he could beat the one that wins. This next steer here has got more strength to his top line. He's a smooth-made steer. He's well finished. He's a steer that hit me a little bigger in his kind, and maybe not just the true genuineness of width through his chest floor, and then when he goes away from me right here, it gets just a little base narrow. The gold calf's got a little more muscle shape than this steer right ahead of him. He's a little bigger topped. He's a little bigger out of his hip. He's a steer that, to me, hit me a little plain. He not only is a little plainer headed, he twists his front feet out, and then I'd redesign him a little off of his hind leg as well. But I thought he was just a fundamental carcass steer to be coming next in the line. From a distance, I like this steer a lot. He's really neat up through his head and his neck. He's clean-chested. He's level in his lines, and he kind of looks stout. To me, he's a little too tight in his forelimb, a little tight off of his hind leg, and then I just didn't know if he had the true muscularity of a couple of them ones right ahead of him. But again, just loosen him up structurally is the big thing, though.
Nice class here to end the lightweights. I think you probably maybe have to settle for something you'd like to change, and really no matter how you sort these top few. I think with that, the paint goat is one that, I like just his basic build and his outline from this profile. I think compositionally that's probably the most ideal goat here in the top 3. I think one that relative to himself and his weight is plenty stout enough. That one doesn't want to just drive for the young man the absolute hardest, and so maybe muscle texture is not the most aggressive. I think the spread's there. I like his look and how he's put together, and especially his composition probably behind the pair that we have coming out next. If you just pet down their backs and, in terms of probably hide quality and just hardness and shape, I think the goat in second is really, really good. That's the other one from just a youthfulness standpoint and a balance standpoint. I like the class winner. Probably you get your hands over that one's ribs. He's actually got quite a bit of cover to give him that top side shape. You study him just at the surface. That one's not near as genuine in terms of his feature. Went ahead and left that one in second. Kind of a big goat, that almost looks like maybe he belonged in a heavyweight division and got against some more youthful middleweights is this one we have coming out next. No doubt just a really product-oriented, stout-skulled, big featured goat. But with that, just getting a little bit loose and open in terms of his skeleton there out of the backside of his shoulder. You can see him starting to get just wrinkled up in his hide and not near as good in his shape. I think definitely a leaner, trimmer goat that comes out next, one that's pretty neat in terms of his front 1/3. I think for being just a shot flatter in his forerib and pinched in his rack, that one actually opens up to a big pin set, just not filled in enough in terms of maturity and readiness. We're going to keep him fourth. And then I think a goat that just checks the boxes in terms of being good looking, built right, and having enough product to go ahead and land here in the 5th spot. Nice class here, though. I think we'll run back the middleweight class winners and see how they sort out. But let's put your hands together for these exhibitors. Well, a really nice middleweight division here in the GOAT side, and not to take anything away from the seconds that we have in the back row and the paint weather here, but really the decision in my mind comes between the class winner out of, I guess, Class 4 and Class 5, and not because they pair up super similarly. If we're just talking about each of them real quick, that white-headed one, I think you study as an individual its silhouette and how its skeleton is assembled, the comfort that it has in it. I think just the trueness and comfort that it tracks as it leaves you in terms of where it sets its hind leg, really, really good. I love just that show goat look that thing has, really fresh and hard in terms of his composition and handling quality. We kind of talked about maybe a goat in that last class looking like he maybe fit in the heavyweights. We get him back out here, and this guy is on the borderline of juvenile. Like I said in class, I think where his bones set and just the squareness that he reads to his top shape is really, really good. He's not just the fullest and freshest and most massive in his loin, even though the bones sit right. Probably, for one, I really, really like just the squareness of his hock as he leaves you. Maybe you just want to just blow him and square him up in terms of his knee just a shot. So it's, is it relative to himself and as an individual, is he stout enough is the question there. Definitely just the fresher, more massive, muscled one is the one that comes out of that middle class. Really, really round, bold, productive kind of rib in him, a big, fresh kind of back shape in him, a big end in him also. I think that's one that's proportional from the side. We start to nitpick their build. Maybe that one just is a little bit lower to the ground, a little bit shorter from end to end. I don't know if he's just fighting the halter or if he wants to just get a little bit stiffer in terms of his hind leg, turns it in from the side. So, do you really want to go with one that I think is extremely hard to make and maybe not quite there yet versus definitely the one that's the most massive out here in this division, but got a few more places you can pick on him. In my mind, I like building animals from the ground up and ones that are hard to make. I like the lightweight or the fourth class for your champion. We'll use the one in the middle class for reserve.
Okay, well, this is an interesting class here, and I'm going to talk through it with you here. This kind of neat colored calf here looks like he came in here.
Congratulations coming out of your middleweight class on the GOAT side. Your division winner is Burke Suttles from the Central FFA, and your reserve will come out of middleweight class number 2, exhibited by Taya Hamilton from the Nebraska Ag Academy. Moving on to our heavyweights now on the GOAT side. Heavyweight class 1 weighs from 95 to 98 pounds. And we're on the final heavyweight class for the sheep, weighing from 162 to 187.
This steer, he didn't hit me hard when he came in the gate. And I'm an initial impression guy. He had his head down a little bit, and he kind of was walking outside of himself. When you study this steer, he's pretty good, actually. He's got some real width of chest. He's got some topside shape. He's actually maybe as good structured as anything when you get his head up and kind of get him out and let him go. He's a nice steer to me. He does have just a little extra set maybe to his hock. He's a little bigger in his sheath, and maybe just didn't quite have the extras of that one that won. But I kept working him up. He didn't hit me hard from the get-go. This calf here coming next is neat fronted and big ribbed. I love that about him. He just misses his stride too much for me. I
of middleweights here at the Nebraska State Fair. Red in class awarded to Haley Minnick, Franklin FFA. Blues in class go to Evan Blank, Wilcox Hildreth FFA. Tate Bruce, Takema Herman FFA. Darren Dosler of the Boone Central FFA chapter, also picking up a blue. Purple in class awarded to Alexis Warner of the Blair FFA chapter and Kaya Songster of the EMF FFA chapter. Second place purple in class awarded to Tali Travnicek of the Scotts Bluff FFA chapter, and a first place purple in class awarded to Caitlin Shimmick of Gearing FFA. Again, that's a recap of your results coming out of middleweight class 2. Up next in the Nebraska Farm Bureau show ring, middleweight class 3 now exhibiting. That'll be our final class of middleweights before we go into our division championship drive. A reminder, we'll select our overall market, invite our overall market division champions back for our final drive and our champion overall market animal selection at 3:30 p.m. right here at 5 Points Bank Arena. And on behalf of the beef team and our audience here today in the South Show Arena, it's been a privilege to welcome Dr. Parker Henley in today, doing a great job working with our youth in the show ring. Parker's from Stillwater, Oklahoma, serves as the livestock judging team coach, and the Dr. Robert Bob Tadashek, endowed chair fellow at Oklahoma State University. Parker and his wife Christy have a son named Norman. He received his master's and PhD from the University of Illinois while focusing his research in nutrition and management strategies for heifer and bull development systems. Parker was a member of the livestock judging team at Butler Community College and Kansas State University, where he received a bachelor's degree in animal science. Currently, along with coaching, Parker serves as an extension specialist focused in beef cattle management and youth livestock selection and education. Parker was raised in central Missouri, where he and his family still raise Angus and Charolais cattle. Parker and his family have bred or exhibited several national or reserve national champion Charolais cattle. He coached the 2021 and 2022 national champion livestock judging team and was named the coach of the year in both years. Sure been a pleasure to have him here in Grand Island working with our youth here at the fair. Let's give him a warm thank you, welcome from Nebraska here, and a round of applause for his work today.
We get into the heavies here, and I think really probably the decision and the contrasting pair in my mind was between 2 and 3. I think the goat that we have to go ahead and lead off to win, when that young lady gets him stuck, I think just gives a really proportional, balanced kind of show goat look. Really good in terms of his handle. I think just hard to pick a major hole in that one, and maybe some edgier types that have some issues you'd like to tweak here in 2 and 3. So a nice, just really solid goat here to go ahead and lead off. It'll be interesting to see how he looks out in the division here in a little bit. The goat that we're going to have in second, I think that's a really freaky, big outlined, exotic one that, quite frankly, probably when he is ready will be at quite a heavy weight, and I think would look good in the 110, 115 range, probably against those more mature goats, because that one is glass hided, really rock hard in terms of his shape. Just still a bit immature, probably. You study him in just the base of his forerib and heart, and then probably when we set that guy into motion, maybe just a little bit awkward in terms of his hind leg and just longer there in his pastern, but a freak for sure. The goat we have in third, I think that's one that's just a little bit more modern and moderate in his kind. That's a big-ended, boxy goat that handles with a lot of product down the top side of his skeleton and big in terms of his back shape. He's probably just quite a bit plainer to the touch, a little bit just blander in his muscle texture, and that's why I went ahead and left him third. Goat here in fourth, I think one that's just correct from the side. Probably you handle him in terms of his loin. I think there's some width there. Probably, though, you study him just in terms of his rack shape and maybe just the pop to his stifle. He gets just a shot plainer in his handling quality, and it's probably because he's got quite a bit of finish there over his forerib. Much leaner, higher cut ability, kind of just more extended goat that comes out in fifth. With that, though, not near as just productive in terms of its rib cage and doesn't facilitate quite enough mass up high. Good set here in the top 5 for our first class of heavies. A good group top to bottom. Put your hands together for these exhibitors.
Okay, well, this is a great class. I hope you all enjoyed looking at these steers, the way these young people are getting them shown and put together here. Quality cattle, just down the line, and great showmen. It's fun to evaluate them here. So I'm going to tell you what I did here. I think ultimately, big scheme of things, these are 3 powerful cattle up here on the top end of this. I mean, they're thick, they're wide, they're muscular. To me, this steer moves the best up here. That's going to win of all 3 of them. I still think he's got more bone, more rib, more depth in through his flank, and goes to the surface a little truer than maybe both the next 2 of them there. Now, little bitty details I'll talk about. He's got just a touch of chest. That don't bother me at all. He gets a little high in his tail head. He's got a touch of sheath, and his toes are a little curly. So all those little things are maybe aesthetic things, but it doesn't change the fact that that's a sound, muscular, good composition calf that balances up from the profile, and I think he needs to win this class because he puts the most good together there. This steer here coming next, he's even bigger in his chest, he's rounder in his rib cage, he handles as big and as fresh over his rib and loin as anything we've had today. He's beautiful in his hair coat, he's long and clean up through his neck and his front end. I love that about him. Standing still here, he runs that one that wins and gets close to me. Couple little things. I'd like to see him just a little bit maybe deeper back in through his flank, but the real reason you're in second, set him out in motion to me. He flays his front feet out. He opens a little at the top side of his shoulder. His toes are a little gathered.
Congratulations for the final drive coming up later this afternoon at 3:30, representing the heavyweights. Will be out of your class number 3, exhibited by Kelsey McCaffrey of the Crete FFA. Your reserve represented in the final drive will come out of class number 2, Hayden Schroeder from the Wisner Pilger FFA. We have 2 more Market Lamb classes left to go. This is coming in your Market Lamb purebred. They'll weigh from 121 to 169.
I want to change him a little out of his shoulder and let him reach, let him just balance up and have the kind of neatness and freshness those first 2. There's nothing wrong with that calf. He is dense and bulky and massive. This steer here is as sound and as good balanced as any of them. I love that about him. He's got the best feet
Here's your results out of heavyweight 1 on the market goats. Blue ribbon winners will include McKenna Shea from Westholt FFA, Faith Urwiller from Laurel Concord FFA, Levi Finn from Twin River FFA, Elena Cutlers from Central FFA, McKenna Shea from Westholt FFA, and Tver Veras from Thayer Central FFA. Purple ribbon winners, Addison Lemke from Freeman FFA, Sebastian De La Cruz from Lakeview FFA, and Jace Allen from Scotts Bluff FFA. Second purple is to Cammie Hell from the Lee FFA, and first purple, Avery Blair from Morrill Mitchell FFA.
And a breakdown of your results coming out of our final class of middleweights, Class 3 market steers in our FFA show today. Red in class awarded to Laurel Moore of the Sutton FFA chapter. Blues in class go to Colton Crete of the Logan View FFA chapter. Summerland FFA chapter member Ashley Melcher. Purples in class awarded to Tatum Schroeder, Diller Odell FFA, and Alexis Billiter of Bertrand Loomis FFA. Second place purple in class awarded to Cade Stratman of West Point FFA, and your first place class winner awarded to Reagan Alfs of the Shickley FFA chapter. Again, those are your results coming out of middleweight Class 3 FFA market steers. We'll invite our class winners back in the show arena here for our division championship drive with our middleweights.
Well, we're going to keep things moving right along here in our middleweight division. They're pretty fresh on my mind, and there's good cattle. I'll make a few comments about them. Up front there, that is his heavy bone, as big topped and as big rumped of a steer in this lineup. Tons of carcass merit. Structurally speaking, he's kind of just okay, all right? And, just change him a little of his hind leg and in his shoulder there, but I love the carcass merit. We change up kinds, and I know it's, you want a judge that has 3 of them in the line that all look the same, but it's the classes, the way they came together. The next steer here is a sound, pretty, nice, balanced steer that's heavy, heavy bone and flexible. He's maybe just not the most shapely one of the group. He's not the squarest over his rib and loin, and so compositionally speaking, we could probably improve him a little bit, but boy, where he's good, he is tremendous in the group. Then we get into a calf back here, and realistically a pair of cattle that are tremendous composition cattle. They're tremendous looking cattle, and I think they both are acceptable structurally. To me, when we think about judging market steers, these are the 2 cattle that put the most together for me. We're going to keep them together. Champion, reserve.
Well, an awesome trio up here on the top. I think probably the second and third is the decision in my mind, and a goat just from a handling quality and just mass and muscularity standpoint that goes ahead and rises to the top. It makes for a pretty logical winner like we had in the last class. Not to say he's perfect, and we'll break those class winners in whatever we see next here in the division, but I think a pretty good one to go ahead and lead off with in this class, just from a width and handling quality standpoint. The goat that we have here in second, I think a stout featured one that's definitely good in terms of how it's assembled. Like how that one gets out and goes, maybe minus the fact that it's probably just a bit weak on its pastern. I think between the pair of goats that aren't just broad enough and pulled apart enough in terms of their rib shape and pin set, that's the one that's definitely better in terms of his handling quality and just leanness compared to the goat in third. I think from the outside, you study that one's underline and just its skin quality, you'd think that one would touch probably more impressive with that one. You get your hands on him, though, just disappointed me a shot, a little bit softer to the touch there, but a good-looking one ringside, no doubt. A good handling, muscular market doe that we had come in fourth that's maybe just not as tricked out in her look and stout in her feature. A big outline, big-legged weather that wasn't near stout enough there for fifth. A good class, though, here in the second class of heavyweights. Put your hands together for these kids and their projects, please.
officials, Hannah Groth and Tracy Hasselbrook, helping us out there. One of the best ring guys we know here, Blake Hasselbrook, doing a great job cleaning up here in the ring today. Check in Katie Alexander and a host of others. If you could give them a round of applause here for their work, and our judge will go back to work here on this.
Here's your results of your purebred market lamb class. Blue ribbon winners include Micaiah De La Cruz from Lakeview FFA, Sydney Skolsky from Burwell FFA, Arabella Rossmeyer from the Shelton FFA, and Kasha Elber from the Blue Hill FFA. Purple 2 and your division reserve is to Seth Wirt from the Central City FFA. First Purple Division Grand. Heading on to the final drive will be Dylan Russman from the Pender FFA. Over on the goat side with heavyweight class number 2. Blue ribbon winners include Chloe Cutlers from the Central FFA, Faith Erwiller from Laurel Concord FFA, Addison Vavracek from the Schuyler Central FFA, Abby Negley from Gothenburg FFA, Mahia Jones from the Nebraska Ag Academy, and Sebastian De La Cruz from the Lakeview FFA. Purple ribbon winners include Avery Blair from Morrill Mitchell FFA. Second purple is to Shelby Carr from the Alliance FFA, and first purple to Taya Hamilton from the Nebraska Ag Academy. In the ring now is heavyweight class number 3 on the goats. They are weighing from 102 up to 120. And our final class of lambs is market lamb whiteface influence, weighing from 107 to 155. And congratulations. In our white face market lamb influence, blue ribbon winners include Colton Carman from the Shelton FFA, Ellie Janney from the Fillmore Central FFA, Daphne Jelichka from the Lee FFA. Purple 2 goes to Elizabeth Skabinski of the Ord FFA and your division reserve. And Hayden Schroeder from the Wisner Pilger FFA will be your Purple 1 Division Grand. Stick around, folks. Coming up at 3:30, we will see who is going to win this market lamb class with a supreme drive taking place over in the beef ring again at 3:30. And this one's decided he wants to stick around and show off a little bit more here at the Nebraska State Fair, though his owner has second thoughts.
I think here in this heavyweight class of market goats, a nice weather to go ahead and lead off with. I think just from a muscularity and compositional correctness standpoint, he has probably the advantage over the doe there in second. That one handles big in terms of his back shape and has some natural dimension down through his leg. Still, I think, not probably the coolest in his look, and maybe just a little bit more upright in terms of his hip construction, hind leg, but gives you a proportional look. I think the doe kid probably just a female in a market show at this weight. She's starting to lay on her condition compositionally just a little bit different, because I think as a breeding piece, that one's really, really neat. Not the biggest center outline, but that's a bold kind of center body. She's got a good shape in terms of her top side of her skeleton and a good look as well. Like I said, for a big heavyweight class, a doe kid that's not just the biggest in her kind, just maybe getting a little bit more maternal there in terms of her body. Definitely a different kind of goat that we have here in third. This is a big outline wether that's still really lean and really kind of raw in terms of his handle. That one's super good looking, just not near stout enough to play with the top pair there today. A couple wethers that we have coming next, I think, that are some big heavyweight product-oriented goats that probably just compositionally and maybe from a handling quality standpoint, not quite as good as the ones we have there towards the top of the class. I think three nice class winners that we'll have to do some sorting on and when they get back out here for the heavyweight division, but a good class. Put your hands together for these kids, please.
We'll get you those results of our final weight of heavyweight goats here in just a moment as they get our purple 1 and purple 2s lined up to come in for that final drive for them. Again, just like with the sheep, your goat champion, supreme champion, will be selected in the market lamb class coming up at 3:30 this afternoon.